Welcome everyone to the Make Your Website Work Introductory webinar. Welcome, my name is Susan Peach and that's me in the photo. I am getting a bit of a nickname for myself as the Reluctant Guru, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of background just by way of introducing who I am and what I do and how I came by this name. So the first thing I want to tell you is I am the farthest thing from a make money online internet marketing guru that you will ever find. In fact, after many years of trying to figure out this whole make money online, have a business on the internet thing, finally did find a way to succeed, and I was very happy to just putter away working on my websites and happily enjoying the life that it allows me to live, which is me sitting on my deck in the summertime doing my work. But people started to ask me more and more questions about what I did and how I became successful at it. And one day someone on Facebook posted a question, I need help with a website. And I just couldn't stand by after listening to some of the suggestions, and I kind of butted in and said, excuse me, but do you want to build a website, or would you rather have an online business that generates an income? And little did I know at that time, but that question was going to start me down a whole different path. So I had a lot of interest in that question, and as a result of that, I just invited people to my home, and I offered to just share with them what I learned. And that was a big hit, and I guess people told their friends, and then people started asking me would I do it again, and it's just kind of snowballed. So this is me, a real person. I have my online business, and that's what I do, and somewhat reluctantly I have kind of dipped my toe in the internet marketing world because I understand that it is crowded, that it is full of get-rich-quick scams, that people are cautious and wary and downright suspicious. So I'm somewhat reluctant to partake of that. So I really hope to show you that what I'm doing is real, it's not difficult, and there's no magic involved. You can do this too, and I'm just really happy to share it with you. So that's a little bit about me. Let's find out now who you are. So in working with people, I found that there are typically three types, and you may be a combination of two or more of these. The first type is that you may be an offline business owner. So you maybe own a bakery or a hair salon or a gas station, any kind of bricks and mortar business. And you may have a website or you may not. But either way, you're wondering how a website can work for you to bring you more customers, or how your current website can do a better job, and quite possibly a less expensive job. Because I know the vast majority of offline business owners I know who do have a website, they seem to spend a lot of money, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 on having websites designed sometimes. So it can be hard to see the return on that investment. So if you're wondering how to make a website work better for your offline business, then what I have to say might be helpful to you. You may have already dabbled in online marketing or making money through a website, and you may have been frustrated by your lack of success or by not being as successful as you hoped you were. So you might have a product or a service that you came up with. You had a great idea, I'm going to sell this online and make some money. And then you're kind of wondering why the whole thing fell flat. And maybe you've tried lots and lots of different things and you're still not having the success you want. So if that's you, I can definitely give you some tips and share some successes with you that I've had in that area. And the third type of people are just those who are maybe still in the curiosity phase. You've been sitting on the sidelines for a while, you've heard it's possible to make money online, but again, you're suspicious. All that get-rich-quick and all those scams, and maybe you've tried some of them and been very frustrated by the learning curve or by the cost or by the downright scamminess of it. Or maybe you haven't and you're just wondering, what's the right way to do this? You're sitting back doing your research. And as I said, you may have all of the above involved in your online marketing makeup. I certainly have done all of the above. I have an offline business and I still have a website for it. Years ago, I developed a product and thought, great, I'm going to sell this online, and I just couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting any traction. And of course, in the very beginning, I was curious for a long time about how to do this right. So I guess my answer to any of those questions, or rather my question to any of those situations would be to ask yourself, are you building a website or are you building a business? And in a moment, I'll get to a little bit more discussion around this, and you'll see why these two are very, very different things. But for now, I'll just leave you with the thought that most people, when they, quote, go online, looking to make money or to start an offline business website, they focus on the website. They focus on getting a beautiful site built, on how it works, on what they're going to put on it, but they don't really think about building it as a business like they would any other business. So I'll come back to this in a moment and I'll just discuss it a bit more. But for now, let's look at some of the things that won't help if you are frustrated in any way by not having the success that you would like to have online. And then I'll get to some of the things that will help you. So the first thing that probably won't help is having a snazzier website designed, either paying that $10,000 or $20,000 to have it put up in the first place, or going through a total redesign. Now, I'm not saying that the look and feel of your website is unimportant. What I am saying is that you can spend a lot of money putting all kinds of bells and whistles and having all kinds of professional looking stuff on your site. But if nobody can find your site, if nobody knows it's there, does it really matter? And the other part of that is that you can spend a lot of money to make a website look pretty, but what's the return on that investment? I'd rather see a nice, simple, clean website that's bringing me some income rather than spending a lot of money. Here's an example. This is a company that I work with, platinumstages.com. And obviously they have had a professional photographer and some professional models that they've had to pay for. I'm looking at the lovely lady in the black t-shirt on the pole, and I'm pretty sure they've airbrushed and or photoshopped her. Her waist is pretty tiny. And they've got video up here, and if you actually, this is just a screenshot, so I can't show you anything. But if you go around the site, they've all got all kinds of stuff popping in and out and flash things and crazy stuff that takes forever to load. I don't know if you can see the tiny, tiny little blue number way up in this corner. That's the site's Alexa traffic rank. And I won't get into detail what that means right now, but it is just over 1 million, which is actually not too bad as far as most websites go. But just by comparison, my simple little niche website all about pole dancing for fitness has an Alexa traffic rank of under 200,000 today. And my site has none of this crazy videos and spinning girls on poles and whatnot. It's a simple, clean website. My point is it gets traffic. And without traffic, then there's no point in going farther. So that's something that's probably not going to help. Something else I think you'll be glad is not going to help very much most of the time is spending more money. Often when people don't get the results that they'd like to see from a website, they go out to hire someone who promises them that they can bring more traffic. And these are often called SEO experts. Search engine optimization is what that stands for. And these folks are experts in getting traffic to your site. Now, I'm not trying to knock anyone in particular. I'm sure there are some people out there who know what they're doing and do a good job. Otherwise, no one would be in this business anymore. What I am saying is that it's very common to see people just hang out a shingle, call themselves an SEO expert, and charge a lot of money to try to optimize your website. More often than not, what they are doing is sort of here today, gone tomorrow tactics that are meant to capitalize on some algorithm at Google that will temporarily get more traffic if you're lucky, but most often not. And I know people personally who have spent thousands of dollars, who are locked into contracts at $300, $400, $500 a month, and who are not seeing results. So again, I'm not saying that this whole industry is a scam. I'm just saying there are a lot of quote experts who are not really, and you can learn to do what they're doing a whole lot cheaper. So they want you to think it's difficult to get traffic because that's how they make money. And it really isn't. It's not rocket science. It's way cheaper to learn it yourself. And once you've learned it once, you can keep applying it over and over and over again. Something I would suggest you ask any company that you're considering hiring to optimize your website is ask them how their own website ranks for traffic. And I don't mean the one that sells search engine optimization services. Ask them what industry they're in outside of search engine optimization. The whole make money online industry, one of the reasons I just kind of cringe at it is that there are a lot of people selling make money online products, and I don't see any proof that they have actually made money other than selling make money online stuff. And that just raises red flags for me. This is one of the reasons I call myself a reluctant guru. I'm making money on my little pole dancing website, and I always will do that. That is my core and my bread and butter, and I teach a little bit on the side because I just really want people to know you can do this. It's not rocket science. So let's move on to just a couple more things that don't work. Blogging your heart out. Most blogs, I'm sorry to say, get no traffic. Maybe your mom and your best friend go there and read your posts and your musings. But if you're really honest with yourself, how many people are really interested in reading what you think they're interested in reading, i.e. what you're writing? It's one of those things where, how can I say this gently? You're probably not as interesting as you think you are. And I don't mean any offense by that. It's just that, you know, if your mom is reading, or your husband or your wife, or maybe your kids, if they're not yet teenagers, they might think you're interesting. But the vast majority of people out there, they don't know who you are. They don't know why they should listen to you. If you don't have something unique about you that is drawing people to your website, your point of view, what you have to say, it's just another blog that's out there. And most blogs, as I said, get little to no traffic. They need to be fed constantly. Blogs, a lot of times now you can set them up to look like a static website, but search engines still see them very much as chronologically ordered. So the good thing about blogging, and this is what a lot of bloggers promote, is that they rank very quickly if they're optimized, if you're writing about something people want to find. But they move through the rankings and they are dropped just as quickly. So it can very easily become an albatross around your neck. You got to sit down every day and feed this thing, whether you feel like it or not, whether you're inspired or not, and whether people are reading what you're writing or not. So as a result, most blogs really just serve the needs of the blogger. They're kind of an egocentric way to go, if I can stretch my my welcome invitation here, in that really they just are a way for most bloggers to express themselves, regardless of what people want to read, whether or not they want to read it. So blogging in general, there are a very, very, very few blogs that get enormous traffic, but for the average person, it's just not a way that's going to work for you to bring you the traffic that you need. Here's another very popular method today, doing social media, and that would be Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest is the newest one. That's the photo pinning social media site. Again, I have nothing against this. I use Facebook all the time. I'm probably on there way too much. But social media is one tool that may be helpful in bringing traffic to your site depending on the niche you're in. So yes, it can help increase interaction between visitors and your website, and it is one tool that may be helpful or may not, but it's not a silver bullet. So all these people selling courses about how to get 10,000 likes on your Facebook page, think about whether a Facebook page is actually going to be beneficial to your online business or your website in your niche, and it may or may not, and it may have a different level of importance. So all I'm saying here is jumping into doing yet one more thing when you haven't addressed the root cause of why are people not coming to my site is really an exercise in futility. The other really important caution I have about social media is think about who owns that traffic. And this applies also to eBay. Selling on eBay was huge and still is huge. Lots of people do it. I've done it myself. But you don't own that traffic. If you have purchased and registered a domain name and you are paying for hosting so that the traffic that arrives there is yours, and perhaps you have an e-zine, a newsletter that goes out, you have interaction on your website so people come back because they think your site's a great place to be, you then have the opportunity to form relationships with those people and potentially market your product or service to them. You own that traffic, and you always will. On Facebook, Twitter, eBay, you don't own that traffic. And if you read the terms of service, Facebook, for example, can shut down your page, they can close your account, they can basically do whatever they want. It's their business, not yours. They're making the advertising money from all the people going to your page. You're not. So that's just a caution I have around social media. And this applies to many things. It really is important when considering a particular tool, how important it should be in your mix, whether you should put a lot of weight on it or just a little bit. Here's just a few more. Writing more articles. Quite a few years back, this was, again, one of those methods that came up and was exploited, so that now it is actually very easy to get in Google's bad books, or other search engines' bad books. I use Google because they're the biggest, of course. Many years ago, people were coming up with this method that was very good at the time. The idea was an expert on a certain niche would write an article, and people would be allowed to use that content, and there would be a link back to the author's website, and it was a good way to cross-reference information around the internet, get a quality link back, and it was a good method. Now, people, what we call the black hat search engine optimizers, saw this opportunity for linking, and now we have many websites that are article directories. You can submit an article, people can go on there and pick them up, post them on their website. All they have to do is give you a link back. Well, in one of Google's recent updates, and they do hundreds every year, these sites are now being really devalued for a number of reasons. Oftentimes the writing is horrible. It's just dreadful. Nobody's approving that article, and people can write crap, and it's not necessarily verified. It's just an opinion piece. It's full of spelling mistakes. And it was seen as a way to purely generate links. And that's what I call gaming the system. It's not real. It's this false sense of creating value around a website that may not have much value just because it's got all these links coming in. And there's also what's called duplicate content all over the internet. And that is something that Google is really cracking down on. They want to know who produced this content originally. If all you're doing is copying and pasting, maybe paraphrasing a little bit, you're not adding anything new and valuable to the already crowded internet landscape. So that's not going to help you anymore. So swapping more links, that's again, article writing is one method of doing that. But I still get approached by people all the time. Oh, I just started a website. Will you swap links with me? So backlinks or inbound links to your website are one way that Google measures the value of your site. Because if you have a good site that provides good content that people find useful, naturally other websites will start to link to you. So Google uses that as just one measure of your site's quality and popularity. But once again, the black hat SEOers got, this idea that, oh, well, all we have to do is swap links. And they went for the end result rather than what was intended to be the quality assessment aspect of it. And people just started swapping links left, right, and center, even if the websites had nothing to do with each other. So if I have a website that's about pole dancing, why on earth am I going to swap with a website that's about vacationing in Japan? So there needs to be some relevancy there. So that's something you can just put on the shelf right now. If you've been swapping links like mad trying to get your traffic up, you can shelve that one. And then following more gurus. Here I come back to the guru thing. There are people out there who know what they're talking about, and yet it's a very crowded landscape. There's a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about. Gurus charge a lot of money for their knowledge, and I find that at this point it's just counterproductive to start signing up for one more newsletter, downloading one more free ebook. I have a very simple system. I don't even hesitate to call it a system, a process that works for me, and I just tend to shut out the noise now, and I just get down to work, doing what works, doing what's real. And the final thing that maybe some of you can relate to is checking your stats. So every day you log on to your web host and you go into your traffic stats and you cross your fingers and you hope and pray that maybe you had a few more visitors today than you did yesterday. And usually that's not the case. The average website gets very, very little traffic, a couple of visitors a day, possibly. I think the latest statistic I've read is that the average website gets less than 100 visitors per month, unique visitors. So that's just a little bit over 3 per day. Now, I'm hesitant to say this because, again, the whole guru thing comes rushing into my mind, but my little tiny niche website gets almost 30,000 unique visitors every month. And that's not page views and that's not returning visitors. That's almost 30,000 different people who arrive on my website every month. So I kind of think what I'm doing is working. And really, if you think about it, if you don't have traffic, you don't have a business. Because if no eyeballs are landing on your site, then nobody's going to see what you have for sale. Okay, so that's enough negativity. Let's look at what does work. So here's where I want you to consider this quote I actually found on Facebook the other day when I was spending too much time, and it said, it really jumped out at me. If you want something you have never had, you have to do something you have never done. So if you have not had success with your online business, your website, or you have not had the level of success you would like to have, ask yourself if it wouldn't be a good idea if maybe you did something different than what you've been doing up till now. So that's what I'm going to touch on more now, is going back to this concept of thinking of your website as a business. Or, for those of you who have an offline business, think of it as an online arm of your offline business. Rather than just an expensive brochure, you maybe buy a Yellow Pages ad and then you put up a website, and you tend to think of all these things as just marketing you have to do. Whereas if you start thinking of your website as an online arm of your business, it has a specific job to do, just like your offline business does, then I think you're going to find that your mindset around what you need to do changes. Here we go. So let's do a little comparison just to get you in the right mindset. Offline business versus online business. They have some similarities and they have a few things that are done a bit differently. Let's start with market research. If you are going into business in the offline world, you're going to open a bakery, for example. Typically, if you're smart, you will do what's called market research. And that, of course, looks at the demand for your product, because if there isn't demand, then there's no point in trying to sell it to people who don't want it. You will look at location, rent or lease, overhead costs. You'll look at what equipment you need, your staffing costs. You'll look at how much product you can expect to sell, what your profit will be, how long it will take you to break even, how much money you need in the bank to see you through until you start making money, all that kind of thing. That's called market research. Online, we have something similar, but it's called keyword research. This is essentially your market research. This is how you find out before you even start whether your website idea, aka your business concept, has merit, whether it's viable, whether it's going to be profitable. Your keyword research, I go into this in great detail in the workshop, by the way. And it's so important, because if you don't know what people are looking for, you might go off in a totally different direction. You might have a great idea for a product to sell online, but if nobody's looking for it, it's really not such a great idea. So for those of you who don't know, because I don't like to assume, a keyword is just anything you would type into your search box. So you opened up your internet browser and you open up Google or Bing and you type in pole dancing because you want to know about pole dancing. That's a keyword. And there are ways that are legit and above board and totally ethical to find out exactly what people are typing in to that search box, and more importantly, to find out how often. So what kind of demand that keyword has. If you know what the keyword demand is and you know what your competition is for that keyword, you can create a website in a niche with pages that get traffic almost like magic. It's simple, but not easy. It's a simple concept. It does take some work, and we'll get to that in a minute. Let's come to another comparison, though. For your offline business, you have probably heard the real estate saying that it's all about location, location, location. And online, it's more about optimization. If you think for a minute about your city, wherever you're located, there's probably a very popular shopping mall in a high-priced end of town, and you know that retail space is going to be through the roof. And there's probably parts of town where it's going to be less expensive to rent space. They probably don't have as much traffic going by. They may be in a less desirable location, but for whatever reason, they're lower priced. Online, it's a level playing field. Everybody pays the same. It costs about $100 a year to host a domain and about $10 a year to purchase a domain name. So location will not be any advantage online. Your location is just your address, your website URL, and everybody's is essentially the same in terms of cost and what you can do. Optimization is how you get found. Offline, you get found by your location. You put yourself in a high traffic location. Online, you optimize your website, and I'm not talking about those black hat SEO tricks. What I am talking about is using your keyword research to properly optimize every page. And that just means the search engines understand clearly what it's about. Remember, they're just machines, they're just robots. So you need to leave appropriate clues for them to be able to understand what your page is about. Your visitors need to know what your page is about. So if you optimize properly, your page comes up when people search for their keyword. And offline, that's the equivalent of someone tripping and stumbling and landing in your bakery and looking up and going, oh my goodness, I was just looking for a bakery and here I am. So that's the kind of parallel between offline and online that you can draw. If you do that keyword research, you optimize properly, people will find you. So let's look now at just a few more aspects of doing business online that people don't often consider. We'll go back to the offline model for a moment, but typically when you're opening an offline business, for the most part, we try to have realistic expectations about the workload involved and the timeline that it's going to take for us to start making a profit. Every business owner knows I'm going to have to put in long hours, 16-hour days for months on end, and hopefully in your market research you've calculated about how long you're going to have to do that before you can start to see a return on your efforts. Online, most people don't do that. They think, oh, okay, I'm going to put up this website to sell this product I have, and I'm going to be raking in millions of dollars by next Tuesday. And that's just not the case. I will tell you that online, your overhead costs are minimal. They're tiny. They're minuscule compared to your overhead costs to go into business offline. And typically speaking, you are going to start to generate a profit much, much sooner, usually within months if you do it right. Now, I'm not saying profit of millions. You start small and you build up. But what I am saying is have some clear expectation. Understand that it is a business, and if you go into it with a business mindset and you have some realistic expectations and you've done your market research, all you have to do now is put in a bit of time and effort and some learning along the way, and you will start to see the return on your investment. So it's just that mindset change from how can I make a quick buck online to how can I plan my online business so that it becomes profitable for me in the shortest amount of time. So this next one is somewhat related, investment of time and money. When you open an offline business, if you're opening the bakery, for example, you understand there will be overhead costs. You need money for rent or lease. You need money to pay your staff. You need money to purchase equipment, to pay your property taxes, to pay your income taxes, all these costs, your phone, your security alarm system. There's an investment of time in your efforts you're going to put in, those 16, 20-hour days you're going to be working early on, and an investment of money. The same thing goes for a business online. You will need to put time into it. You don't just toss up a few pages and start rolling in the dough. You actually put time into creating something of value, creating your online business presence. And to be honest, I do think you need to invest a little bit of money in getting your business off the ground. My business overhead costs when I first started were $300 a year, which I think is incredibly reasonable. Right now it's about $500 a year because I generate more income a year, not a month, per year. there's no way that you could start an offline business for that amount of money. But on the other hand, a lot of people use these free website building services. And again, there's nothing wrong with them if you just want a fun little hobby site. But most of them are not set up for the types of things you need if you're going to have a business online. Some of them will not even allow you to make money. If you read the fine print, you will see that you are not allowed to generate income from them. So be very cautious. The parallel I like to draw is if you're a carpenter and you show up for work with no tools, not many people are going to hire you. So I have some tools that I use to build my business. Many of them are free and the others are very low cost, but to be honest, I'd be lost without them. I would not be where I am if I didn't invest a little bit of money in some tools to create my business. So I suggest you give consideration to that. And the last two things, having a high quality product or service and providing excellent customer service, those are pretty well givens offline these days. We all understand that if we don't have a good product and we don't give good customer service, our customers aren't going to come back and they aren't going to tell others. Online, we need to think that same way. Often with that screen between us and our visitors, our potential customers, there is this sense of, oh, I don't really need to treat them like a real person. And I don't mean that you're out and out rude, but think about, have you ever emailed, you've been on a company and you have a question, you look for the contact button and you send them an email and you don't get a reply. Or maybe you get one a week or two later. So you would never do that if someone walked into your bakery. You wouldn't leave them standing at the counter for a week. Hopefully they wouldn't stick around that long. But think about that too. Again, this is business. This is not just a website. So it's really important that you have this business mindset. Okay, so we've covered offline to online, and now I want to get into, because we're just about ready to wrap up, what I'm going to cover in my workshop. And this is just so that you can see whether or not this would be something of value to you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to teach you what I spoke about earlier, exactly how you can find out what people are searching for online. And of course the goal being so that you can deliver it to them. So I will show you the tools I use, I'll walk you through what they do, and I'll show you live how you can find this out. It's simple. It's really not rocket science, but you may not be aware of it. I'll also teach you the step-by-step process that I use for creating a website that works, also known as an online business. There is a very specific process I use. I will tell you those steps and I'll show you how it works and all comes together. I also have a lot of very specific tips and techniques that I will show you that you can use right away. And my point here is that this is not theory. I'm actually going to give you actionable, doable steps that you can take away with you. So if you're not yet at the point where you have a website, that's okay. You can certainly put these in your back pocket and it will round out your learning experience for the day. But if you do have a website up already and you don't really want to change hosts or use my tools or do what I'm doing, you're happy where you are, but you just want to apply some of what I'm teaching you, then you can take these away with you and apply them to your website. And you should see some improved results. I'm also going to take you live online. I do these workshops with a projector and a big screen so that you see everything live. And I'll be using my own website to show you the exact process and how it works and how it looks. So again, there's no theory. You're going to see a real world example. And I'll use other websites too to demonstrate the process so you can see it across a variety of scenarios. I also give you all the resources I use and that I recommend, plus live demos and explanations of them. Now these are on my website now. It's free. I mean, they're just resources that I use and I gladly share them and I tell you about them. Most of them are free. Some of them have a cost. None of them are all that expensive, not the ones I use. And I'm not selling any of them. So I just share it with you and you can decide whether you want to use them or not. So you can go to my website right after this webinar and you can read about them and click on the links and go and use the tools if you want. But at the workshop, I'm going to be demoing them live, as I say, online on my big screen. And I'll walk you through them and I'll show you what they do, how they do it, and why it's a very good thing. And then the final thing that I love doing is live website hot seats. And I try to do this with people in the room who volunteer to have me have a quick look at their site. And I'm very nice, don't worry, I'm not mean. But the point of this is to translate some of the learning that you'll pick up during the 3 hours and see how it applies to a website that maybe could use a little bit of help. So you can start to take some of the things I talk about and make them concrete in the world of online business. So that's what will happen during the workshop. What won't happen is, as I said, there will be no pressure and no sales of any kind, and that is my promise to you as the reluctant guru. As I said, I use these tools myself. Many of them are free. Some have a cost. You decide what you want to use. I don't produce any of these products, and I don't sell them. I will provide you plenty of high quality, practical, doable, actionable information in what I like to think is my very keep it real style. Like I have been saying throughout this whole presentation, there is no mystery, there's no magic formula, there's no silver bullet. It really is just simple basic stuff that most people haven't learned. And the reason we haven't learned it is, maybe one of the reasons is the gurus charge a lot of money. And the reason that they do is because they can, because they're teaching people to make money online. There will also be time for questions and answers. So if you have a specific question about your site or about a concept we're covering, there'll be time for that. And my favorite part, lots of light bulb moments. I do these workshops because I love to teach and I love to see people get it, and I love to see the fire come on and have people knowing that they can walk away and succeed at this. So I just really hope to be a beacon to you, to show you that there is a way that you can succeed, and I just love it when light bulbs go on in the room. Okay, let's talk about how to register if this is something that you would like to do. You can go to my website at susanpeach.ca, and I gotta be honest, this is a website I have literally just thrown up page by page because I did not expect to go down this road, and people are asking for this information. So it's not a pretty site, it's just a place to hold the information for now, but you can go and browse around. Once you're there, click on workshops, and there you will see the various workshop dates I have coming up, as well as links to the email of the person who is organizing. So click on the email link of the organizer of the session you want to attend, tell him or her you would like a spot, and they will be in touch with you to arrange payment and confirm your registration, and that's all there is to it. So here is the website address, and that's my smiling face again. I hope to see you soon at one of my workshop presentations, and if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to email me. My email address is on the contact page of my website, or if you want to send one off right now, it's just susan@susanpeach.ca. I do look forward to seeing you, and thank you so much for joining me today.